What is going on, YouTube? So here's the car, and it is finally lowered. Again, I used UMI lowering springs. The rears are supposed to drop 1.5 inches, and the fronts dropped 1.25 inches. But as you can see, the front sit a little bit lower than the rear do. You can see a little bit more of a fender gap in the rear. But I'm gonna give them some time to settle in. If not, I may try the heater hose mod, where you kind of take away the top insulator. It's a big piece of rubber that sits on top of the rear spring, and you just completely delete that and slide some heater hose over the top of the coil spring, so you don't get clanking sounds, I'm assuming, and the rubber insulates it a little bit. But you take away that like 1.5 inch rubber insulator, it just kind of, I guess, raises the car up in the rear. But I'm going to give it some time, and I'm going to let these springs settle. If the fronts don't settle, I'm completely fine with that because they're pretty low. The rears, I wish, were just a hair bit lower, but again, like I said, they may need to settle in. Now here's the rear of the car with the Trans Am bumper. My flash is on. I don't know why, so the car kind of looks pink, but again, here's this side of the car. Same exact way, the front's a little bit lower and the rear sits up just a little bit higher. Nothing crazy, but the stance of the car is way better than it was. I mean, it was a monster truck, as you can see in the video I'm going to upload before this one. This will be the second video, so I haven't uploaded either one of these videos, obviously not this one, but my other video I took, it's going to be a baseline to kind of show you like the difference of how these the suspension, the stock suspension, sits versus the UMI springs. But yeah, not only does it look a lot better, but it handles a lot better. You kind of delete that whole floaty boat kind of sensation that you get on the interstate, like higher speeds and stuff. Like if I'm doing about 80 miles per hour or something, and you take a corner or something, the car kind of gets real sketchy feeling. Oh, and another must that you need to do with lowering springs is get an adjustable panhard bar to go underneath. I have the UMI panhandle bar. It's adjustable. It's got the roto joints in it, and you just kind of set your rear end out so like you have enough the same tire poke that you have on each side. And I got mine pretty much adjusted. As you can see, I kind of got some poke there, and got some poke there. So that's what you do, just kind of sit and kind of adjust it. As you can see, I got more poke on the driver's side. Mine still needs a little bit of tweaking. I got it fairly close, but I just need to adjust it and kind of push the rear end over to the passenger side. But I'm surprised that there is no clanking or anything like that. It does rub a little bit, especially at full clock when I turn the wheel. I'm not exactly sure where it rubs. I think it's in the inside, but it is his driver's side tire. Again, look at that. It is low. Now, as far as the installation, I can just go ahead and say, go ahead and get new shocks. You're going to have to do that anyway, because my car had the factory front shocks, and the nut actually stripped out. There's underneath the strut bar, there's a nut with the old strut shock assembly, and especially with the factory struts, it's going to be stripped out. It's going to be full of rust. You might get lucky and use an impact, like a pneumatic impact, because an electric impact just it won't have enough speed to it to zip it off. But I tried a pneumatic, and it got the passenger side one off, the driver's side. It just kept spinning the rod until the whole nut itself stripped out. And just go ahead and get new shocks or struts, a whole new strut assembly, and get the conies, the orange conies. That's what everyone goes with, and they are really nice shocks. Everything, I mean, the whole car rides so much better. Like, it actually feels like a muscle car, sports car. It drives like it looks. Because previously with the stock suspension, if it looked like how it drove, you guys would be seeing a boat right now, or a freaking yacht. I don't know, it was horrible. I mean, this car's got tubular control arms and, you know, the front sway bar and everything, and it's still, like, I don't know, it just rode like trash. Eventually I may get a Trans Am hatch. I don't know. I mean, I like the way that looks. It's kind of low profile now. The car is like one whole piece, if that makes sense. It's like a complete wedge. Kind of like a C5, you know, how they're real streamlined. I'm afraid the Trans Am wing will kind of take away from that streamlined look, but I don't know. I'm fine with that hatch right now, and if I did, it's going to be really hard trying to find another hatch that's like in the same condition as the paint on this car, because again, this car was recently repainted, and this rear bumper is not perfect. As you can see, there's a chip right there. If it will focus, there's a chip right there, and if I get really close, it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but I'm not. You can see it a lot better in person. But there's some spider webbing, and again, the car itself is immaculate, the paint. So it's just kind of disheartening to walk around it. You know, you're looking at it, oh my gosh, this car is so clean. And you get back here and you see those paint chips and crap. It kind of sucks, but hey, I have a Trans Am rear bumper. That's all that matters. It looks a lot better than the old Firebird, the Formula bumper, whatever, because I have quad tips, and it really does make a huge difference having those quad tips fit inside the Trans Am bumper cutouts. It's just made for them. And the Trans Am bumper kind of matches, like where it flares out at the bottom down there. It's like a built-in ground effect with the Trans Ams. Again, the Firebirds and Formulas have, you know, the V6 body, which doesn't have the side skirts and stuff. So I went and I got some universal side skirts off an 8th gen Honda Civic. I had to do some modifying with them, but I decided to leave them black because my top cell panel is black. So, and of course, you know, you have that like the cutout like around the exhaust on the back of the Trans Am bumper. I have it painted black, so it's hard to keep it clean. As you can see, it looks kind of gray. It's just real filthy. It's been raining, mud, salt, stuff on the road. I really shouldn't be driving the car, but it just rides so much better that I just can't help it. So, but anyway, back to what I was saying. The side skirts they go with the flow of that Trans Am bumper flare. It just kind of gives the car, like, you know, just something different. It doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill Formula, which, you know, some people enjoy a stock car, but, you know, I like to add my own little touch to cars, because this thing has a Raptor hood on it. It's not a sleeper. People are just going to see that. This car is loud. Anyone that pulls up beside this thing and it's sitting there beating the ground, they're going to know it's not a V6. So, I really don't understand that whole sleeper vibe, and everyone just kind of gets butthurt when you start modifying, you know, these 4th gen cars. Which, I mean, I understand it's nice to have clean examples, but everything I've done to it is completely reversible. Like, I have the old bumper. I can put that on. I can take these side skirts off. It's no big deal. It's my car. But I'm going down a completely different rabbit hole right now. But, yeah, I think the car's turning out pretty good. This weekend, I have a really fun job coming up, and which it's a much needed job. Anyone that knows what these are right here, the rear repair bearings, because my axle bearings are bad. I know the passenger one is bad for sure because you can hear it on the passenger side more so than you can the driver's side. The driver's side has a really faint, like, if you know axle bearings when they go bad, what they sound like, it's more like a roar, and you kind of hear that on both sides. But I have a new diff cover coming in. I have a TA reinforced diff cover. You know, it's supposed to like adjust up against your bearing caps in the rear end. You know, it just kind of, it's a whole aluminum reinforced cover. That's $150. I mean, it's just a peace of mind, especially for a 10 bolt. Anything you can do to a 10 bolt. I mean, you're putting lipstick on a pig, but hey, I mean, this is a mild car. Like the cam, everything on it's maybe a 380 horsepower build. I don't know. It's enough for me. The car runs good, sounds good. I don't want to go too crazy with it. I'm probably not going to boost this car. If anything, I may put an intake on it and some 243 heads and call it a day. But yeah, I got that going for me this weekend. So yeah, I have a lube locker for that thing too, which is pretty cool. If you guys don't know what that is, it's like a reusable diff cover gasket. You don't have to fool with RTV anymore. You don't have to sit and scrape that crap off, and you can torque it in pretty much whatever pattern you want. Not that that's a big deal, but I just like the fact they're reusable. They don't make a mess. So if you want to swap your fluid out, drain it, you know, you don't have to sit there, scrape your freaking old RTV off, slap your lube blocker on there. They're pretty cool. It's a big deal in the Jeep world. Have one on my Ford 8.8, on my Wrangler. It's just, you know, reusable. They're not really that expensive. I mean, RTV, like Permatex, for a tube of the green stuff that you're supposed to use for diff cover is $7. So it's just say you use 3 tubes of that, and you've paid more than you would have for a lube blocker, and a lube blocker is reusable, so they pay for themselves. And you know, of course, you're paying for your own time. I mean, what's it to you to get down there and scrape that crap off? But let's see. Oh, and I'm sure I've already showed you guys the red interior lights and the red floor mats and everything, but I just want to show that off. I got that fixed. Let's stop that beeping. That looks a lot better. So the interior is shaping up pretty good. I need to dust the dash. It's looking pretty trash. That looks horrible. I need to tuck that back in the bag. Oh, I need to get wiring harness for this radio so these steering controls work. They don't work anymore with that radio, but no big deal. Don't really care. Well, that's about it with this walk around here. I just figured to update you guys. You know, this is what I'm doing with the car so far, and I think it looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, when I first bought the car, I knew right off the bat the thing had to be lowered, so I'm glad I got that out of the way. The weather still sucks. I just pushed through the cold weather. I said, screw it. I'm putting these springs on. I'm sick of staring at them in the box. I look at my freaking monster truck that's sitting outside, and I just got out there, froze my butt off, and I had some help. My friend came and helped me. It took me 2 days. The first day, I decided to knock out the front ones first because I knew they were going to be a bitch. But I done the rears by myself the following day, and you know, I was taking my time with the fronts, and of course, that's when I realized I needed new shocks and everything. So if I had everything to begin with, it wouldn't have been so bad. But I was fighting with those things, and with the new lowering springs, getting them back in is a lot easier because you don't have to compress them. Taking the older ones out, you have to compress them and everything. It takes a little bit longer, but well, you don't have to compress the rear ones. The rear, you literally undo one bolt, a shock bolt, and drop the rear end and shake the springs out. That's all you have to do. The new ones, like I said, you take them out, swap that rubber oscillator, or delete it and do the heater hose mod. Like if this is too much of a lift for you back here, if that gap right there is driving you nuts, it's kind of bothering me. But you can take the oscillator out, do the heater hose mod, whatever. I might do that, like I said, if this thing doesn't settle down, because I just want it to be kind of, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the way that the rear end, it sits a little bit higher than the front, because I think before the front end sat a little bit higher than the rear, and it just looked like the car was going to launch. So I don't know. I'm still debating. Like I said, I have plenty of time. I'm gonna drive it for a couple weeks, let the springs settle in, because they're still brand spanking new. Put them in this weekend. So, but yeah, here it is. This is again, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and kind of follow the build, because I'm a lot more active on there than YouTube. But it's Redskull Formula, no spaces, underscores, or anything like that. Just type in Redskull Formula. It's the name after, you know, the antagonist in Captain America. You know, I'm a Marvel fan, so I understand, because it, I mean, it kind of has that main like skull look in the front. So yeah, thanks for watching.